So welcome everyone to Creative Spirit Gathering. So Creative Spirit Gathering is a place where we can come together and explore the art of art journaling as a place to deepen our connection to ourselves and to spirit, whatever that looks like for you. Of course, for each of us, that experience might be a little bit different, and we honor that here. So as part of our journey together, we'll be sharing a message this morning, and then moving into a time of meditation, and then time to reflect in your own journal. And our theme today is, well, the title of it is Living Wholeness. Living Wholeness. And that idea of living wholeness being living into that awareness of wholeness right where we are, that awareness of the entirety of our being, of mind, of body, and of spirit, being whole and complete right here, right now. Several years ago at a silent retreat, a prayer partner actually shared with me as a parting gift a little heart pendant, and on it, on one side, it says, "Thank you for this day, Spirit." And then you flip it over, and the other side it says, "I am holy, I am whole." And I had that sitting in a little treasure box on my desk for a while. And one evening, my son was having a hard time falling asleep at night. In fact, his mind was kind of wandering to this place of unwholeness. You know, he was thinking about, well, what if I got sick? And health concerns were on his mind. And so I took this little heart out and I handed it to him. And for years now, he has used this as his morning and evening affirmation. So when he first wakes up in the morning, he goes over and he picks up this little heart and he reads it out loud, and I can hear him in his room. So I know whenever he's up, because he goes, "Thank you for this day, Spirit." Flips it over, "I am holy, I am whole." And he does the same thing again in the evening time, right before bed. It's like his bedtime prayer. And it has helped to ease some of those anxieties for him, just having an affirmation, having something to hold on to that helps to boost his faith in his own wholeness. And I think for all of us, having some little touchstone, whether it's, in his case, it's a physical touchstone, something that he can pick up and read and affirm, but having some sort of touchstone can help us in our own healing, in our own remembrance of our wholeness in the midst of everything in our lives at all times, right? This was something, that my son started doing several years ago. And of course, right now, with all that's going on in the world, having something to remind us of our health and our wholeness right here, right now, can be so empowering and so uplifting. And for each of us, those words, that phrase might be a little bit different. What brings you comfort, what reminds you of your wholeness might be different than what works for my son, might be different than what works for me. It might be different than what works for somebody else that's watching right now. So what I want you to lean into today is this idea that within you is a remembrance of your wholeness. Within you, there is that which already knows your spiritual connection. Within you, there is that knows that the body is constantly healing and renewing itself on a cellular level. And so for you, there are going to be perhaps certain words or a certain experience or a song that touches your heart and reminds you of that wholeness. So we're going to be doing a little bit of sort of inner exploration today, sort of digging within to our own little treasure box for those words, those affirmations that remind us of our perfect wholeness in the midst of all things. so that when we have that as a touchstone moving through every day of our lives, just as my son has his morning and evening prayer with his, using that can be a tool, like taking your daily vitamin, right? It can be a tool to help increase, to boost up your own strength, your own immunity, your own awareness of God in the midst of all things. So that when life does get tricky and weird things are thrown at us and we're having to wear masks every time we leave the house, we can remember, because we have this ongoing practice that has steeped us, rooted us in the truth of our wholeness. Again, for you, what you dig out is going to be unique for you. So I shared what worked for my son and where that came from. I want to share with you a story that is essentially the founding story of the Unity movement. And many of you who are familiar with Unity know this already, but Unity was founded in healing prayer. It was founded in affirmative prayer. And Myrtle Fillmore, one of Unity's co-founders, was really the first one to experience this in her life and had such a profound, tangible experience with this that she then was able to share it with her family, with friends, with relatives, and begin to see how powerful healing affirmative words could be. You know, as a child, Myrtle Fillmore was diagnosed with tuberculosis. And so she was told, you are a sickly child and you will never get over this. Now, for some of us, we may have some sort of connection to that, right? Maybe somebody told us something at some point in our lives that was less than wholeness. And so she had believed this for many, many years. And perhaps maybe you believed something about your wholeness or less than wholeness in the past. And one day she was attending a conference. And at that conference, she heard the lecturer say the words, I am a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness. And it was like this light bulb moment for her, this aha, something that touched her deep in her heart, deep in her soul. And she connected with that phrase, I am a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness. And it became her mantra, it became her touchstone that she would repeat to herself until she could feel it at that vibrational level in her being. It was not instantaneous, but she did heal herself of something that she had been told from childhood that she would never heal of. It was released from her body, that she was able to experience wholeness. And it was such a profound thing for her, again, that she then started teaching other people the power of affirmative words to heal, to bring wholeness, and started noticing, you know, other people were having these healing experiences or these experiences of peace, even in times of turbulence. And that's essentially what ended up founding this movement. One line at the right time that just catches your heart and sends you on a new path, shining light and creating change in your worlds. And we never know where these lines are going to come from. Maybe you have something already that you remember a specific time where a phrase, a poem, a scripture, could have even been from like a fiction book, right? Something in Harry Potter just like struck you and you're like, oh yes, there's that connection. And it can be life-changing. It can be life-changing. So today in our journals, I'm going to invite you to explore one of those things right? In our meditation, we'll sort of rest into what are the words, what are the things that speak to my heart that remind me of my wholeness. And then during our journal time, we'll simply reflect on that and reflect on those words and see what begins to emerge for you. The page I shared with you earlier today, sort of a mixed match of many things on the page. It started with writing in the background, and this was a writing specific to one of those things that I read that touched my heart. And it was Emma Curtis Hopkins' narrative, The Radiant I Am. I don't even know if you call it a book. It's so short, but it was so powerful for me. I was just reading along, you know, I'm sitting in my comfy, cozy chair, just reading, and all of a sudden it clicked. There was just that something, you know, it was like something shifted in me, and all of a sudden I felt this connection to these words and to these ideas on such a powerful level. I think when these moments happen, we all have a different way of experiencing them. For me, I get these head to toe chills. It's just like whole body feeling. And that's how I know, oh, that's a truth. Like that radiates as a truth for me. And that's what happened. I'm just reading, and then all of a sudden, you know, this head to toe chills followed by like tears in my eyes. And I knew, you know, this was something I need to sit with. I need to really connect with these words and remember it, because it was like my soul was remembering this wholeness, this truth in that moment. So I just started with pen, writing in the background her words. I was just connecting with the words. And then, of course, right, using my fingers to smear my paint. I love it so very much, getting tactile into that experience. I used patterned collage paper. You can see that on several areas in here. I used rubber stamps. And as each of these layers were drying, and I was then, you know, preparing to move into, you know, well, what's coming next, I would simply sit in meditation, just continuing to ponder the words, letting them just like penetrate my being. Because each layer would take me, you know, sort of to a new depth with it. You know, maybe I had questions that were coming up, so I'd let the questions come up and sit with those, and then sit in meditation and just rest with it, be present to that idea. For me, the idea of wholeness. And this was the line right here. This was the line that I hit when I was reading it that sent those chills. And the line was, I am the inspiring pen of the world. I am the inspiring pen of the world. And for me, especially somebody that loves to write, that loves to journal, that idea of the pen itself, the word, written word itself as being an inspiration going out, it just resonated so strongly. So that's kind of what kicked it off. And then I continued to explore with it. Now, as always, in your journal, you can do whatever you like. You know, you might want to do magazine cutouts and collage, or let's see, this one was a mandala page, you know, and simply resting with the word. Whatever comes through for you, whatever ideas want to be explored, just let them come forward. It's not about creating a pretty picture so much as creating space to be present. And today, being present to the idea of living wholeness. Living wholeness, mind, body, spirit, all aspects of your being. So with that in mind, we're going to begin our meditation time here. Before we do, I just want to once again thank everyone who's joining us via live stream or watching this in the future, and invite you to share your love offerings on our website at unityartsministry.org. And please be sure to send a little comment or note, let us know that you're here and how we can serve you on your creative journey. So go ahead and lean in now. lean into the present moment, the space where you are. Allow yourself to become physically comfortable in your space, feeling your feet on the floor, rolling your shoulders if you need to. Relaxing. Invite you to close your outer eyes if that feels comfortable. And then just take a moment to acknowledge the thoughts going on in your mind. Just recognize them. Give them thanks for being there, all the wisdom they impart. And then I invite you to drop your awareness down to your heart space. You might want to put your hands over your heart, knowing that this is a space of divine love, a space free of judgment, free of right and wrong. It is simply pure energy, an energy of love, of harmony, an energy that seeks peace. And allow yourself to simply rest in the awareness of this space. Rest in divine love, feeling and knowing the peace that resides there. And we'll breathe in for a few moments of silence, resting in the heart. And on the next breath, we begin to bring our awareness back to our minds, back to thought, and affirm in this space, I am holy, I am whole. I am holy, I am whole. We flutter our eyes open, taking in the world around us, taking in this moment. And then we move with this energy into our journal experience, processing, living wholeness. What are the words, what are the truths that resonate with your soul, that remind you of wholeness in the midst of all things?